Hey, Shalom Akim. First and foremost, I give all praises and glory unto Yahawashi, Bashim Yahawashi, Bashim Rachak Kudash, double honors under the elders, Apostle Grand Millstone, the elders Grand Millstone, and of course, peace and blessings under the hopeful elect. The sincere servants of Yahawashi, Bashim Yahawashi, serve him in truth and sincerity. Yes, on the brother Chayabo from GMS Plain Tables Camp, coming back with another lesson through the Spirit. Yes, so this lesson be based off this, pretty much Yahawashi, when he comes back, he's coming back to take down these other nations. And he's coming back to set up his people. Because a lot of pretty much, the biggest misconception that people have is that Yahawashi is coming back to deliver all people, which that's false. Yahawashi is coming back only to deliver his people, to save his people. Starting with the elect of the nation of Israel. The Lord's coming back, to deliver the elect. As the scriptures say, with the angels. Let's go ahead and get that real quick. This is Matthew chapter 24. At 30, it says, "And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory." Yeah, so if all the tribes of the earth are going to mourn, what does that mean? If everybody was going to be saved, then why shouldn't everybody be happy? No, because not everybody, first and foremost, not everybody will be saved. And anyways, not everybody truly wants the Messiah to come back. Because once Yahawashi comes back, that marks the 100% end of this world. When I say this world, I'm meaning this current era that we're in, of Esau, Edom, the so-called white man ruling in his power. Yahawashi's kingdom beginning. The world of Jacob beginning. As scriptures say, for Esau's the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Meaning, so we are at the end of Esau's era, and it's going to fully 100% end once Yahawashi comes back to establish his rulership, take down these other nations, and establish his rulership. Because Yahawashi is coming back in the midst of World War III, when Babylon the Great, which is America, will be destroyed. It says, verse 31, "And he shall send his angels with the sound of a great sound of a trumpet. And they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other." Exactly. So Yahawashi is going to send back his angels to gather his elect. Which Yahawashi is going to come back. Yeah, it says, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. Yeah, because Yahawashi is coming back in a massive chariot, and also his angels are going to be piloting their own chariots, to deliver the elect, the so-called UFOs. The scriptures say how we're going to be called up into the heavens, pretty much when I say heavens, meaning literally up into the skies, because the chariots are going to be flying, and again, they're going to be shooting down the tractor beams. Again, these movie directors, these people who put these so-called UFOs in their movies, they don't just get these ideas from nowhere. No, they get it literally from the chariots, because that's exactly what the chariots do. When you read the scriptures about the appearance of of the chariots, of the Lord's chariots, they literally match the same description as a so-called UFO. So we know that those so-called UFOs that fly in the sky, they're able to do supernatural things that's 100% impossible according to the laws of physics, Esau's physics. But we know that those are extraterrestrial heavenly forces, these so-called UFOs. So it says, Revelation chapter 2 and 26, "And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations." It didn't say, to him will I unite, I'm going to unite him with all nations. No, power over the nations. When you get this word within the, when you go into the New Testament within the Hebrew, It'll say the Hebrew word mashal, which means to rule, to have dominion over. But that's exactly what the heavenly body, or the governing body of the nation of Israel, or the kingdom of Israel will have, the 144,000. So it says, verse 27, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, as the vessels of a potter shall they be broken in shivers, even as I received of my father. See? And he shall rule them with a rod of iron. Let's go ahead and get that word rod, which the Hebrew word is rabdos, which means with a rod of iron, and indicates the severest, most rigorous rule. Yeah, because these nations are going to receive, well, compared to what they've done unto us, it's going to be way much greater compared to what we're going to do unto them. But ultimately, what? Of course, Yahawashi will give us spiritual power, and I say us, because what? That's what we're a part of the hopeful elect. We pray to Yahawashi that we journey to the end, that we receive salvation. So yeah, of course, if we endure unto the end, then what? Of course, Yahawashi will change our bodies. We're going to receive the new perfect bodies. And boy, we're going to be the first ones to rule within the kingdom of heaven. Because, of course, not all Israelites will be saved on this side. But, well, of course, the 2/3 of the nation of Israel who die on this side, they're going to come back within the kingdom of heaven under the seat of the elect. So it says, and yeah, of course, we hope to be a part of those. As brothers, of course, as prophets, we hope to be a part of the 144,000, the first fruits. Because the first fruits are going to receive the greatest reward. So it says, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, as the vessels of a potter should they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my father. Yeah, because Yahawashi, when you read Psalm chapter 2, Yahawashi was given the inheritance of the heathen. So they're going to be broken to shivers, meaning they're going to be in complete subjection under the Israelites, and we're going to have spiritual power. So imagine that. Imagine what type of rule we're going to have over these other nations. Once we become just like Superman. When we become superhuman. And no, I'm not just talking about, Captain America level. No, I'm talking about Superman level. But there's not going to be any kryptonite that Esau is going to be able to find. No, we're going to be 100% perfect. Why? Because the laws, statutes, and commandments will be written inside of us. So we're going to achieve perfection. And of course, Yahawashi will change our bodies. And again, write the laws, statutes, and commandments within us so we never go off again. So we're going to achieve perfection. As scriptures say, sin is a transgression of the law, and of course, sin leads on to death. So the reason why, of course, we die is because we've sinned, but that's not going to happen anymore within the kingdom of heaven. Isaiah chapter 14. It says, "For Lord Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob." Yes, so Lord will have mercy on Jacob, and yet choose Israel. Not all nations, not Esau, not Ammon, not Moab, not Ishmael, not Ham, not Elam. No, only Israel. The Lord has only dealt with the Israelites, and that has never changed. The Lord will only save his people. It says to set them in their own land. Yeah, right now you have imposters dwelling in our land, which they call now the state of Israel, which does not represent the entire land of Israel that the Lord has promised unto, of course, unto his people. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. When you actually get the land of Israel, is a much greater portion compared to the state of Israel today. It says, and the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. Yeah. And the strangers being the Israelite foreigners. As scriptures say, will be scattered amongst these other nations. You're going to have Israelites, as they dwell on those lands for generations, they, of course, eventually, you're most likely going to take the appearance of the heathen. And ultimately, we're all strangers, man. Because, we've all been separated. Of course, we all have been scattered. And we all, most of us, did not grow up within these laws, statutes, commandments, or slakia, within serving Yahweh or Yahweh B'Shem Yahawashi, having this truth. Of course, we didn't grow up having this truth, so that would make us spiritually Gentiles. But of course, we came back onto this truth. So now, we're out of that dry bone state. So it says, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. Yes, so the Lord's going to gather all Israelites from all, pretty much from all parts of the earth. And they're going to be, they're, of course, starting with the elect. The elect are going to be gathered of the nation of Israel among of course, all parts of the earth. They're going to be the first ones to rule within the kingdom of heaven. So that's the Lord's promise. It says, verse 2, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord Yahweh for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. See? So whatever they done unto us, we're going to do unto them. All of our oppressors, they're going to become oppressed under us. All of our captors, they're going to be captives under us. It says verse 3, and it shall come to pass in the day that Lord Yahweh shall give thee rest from thy sorrow, and from thy fear, and from the hard bondage wherein that thou was made to serve. Yep, exactly. So we're going to receive rest from the sorrow. We've been in sorrow mainly since 1492. So-called Native Americans and Latinos being the northern kingdom of the nation of Israel, they fled, of course, onto the Americas during this Assyrian captivity. And of course, the 1619, the so-called Negroes being the southern kingdom of the nation of Israel, coming from West Africa, because they fled from the Roman persecution back in 70 AD. We all been, of course, we've been conquered as people, brought into slavery ever since those periods. So and now it's a different type of slavery. Now we're slaves under the system. We're slaves under contracts. We're slaves under, we're slaves under the system, whether you have a corporate job or, what's subject to these. Again, just this lifestyle that Esau has created, where you have to rely upon him and upon the government. So it says, verse 3 of Isaiah chapter 14, and it shall come to pass in the day that Lord Yahweh shall give thee rest from thy sorrow and from thy fear and from the hard bondage wherein thou wast made to serve. Exactly. So we're going to receive rest from this bondage, and we're still in bondage unto this day. So we're waiting for Yahweh B'Shem Yahawashi to deliver us. And of course, in the midst of that, we're going to be doing his will, doing this work until the end, until Yahawashi comes back. Because by doing this work, we're showing that we're in expectation and in hope of his return. We're not just sitting idly and doing nothing. No, we're putting forth action and doing what the Lord told us to do. Because the Lord's only coming back to deliver those who keep his commandments, those who do his will, those who believe on him and 100% truth and sincerity. So I believe that's the point. The Lord's will, you blessed and edified. Yahweh B'Shem Yahawashi, Shalom.